Morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 43 in the book of John. We're in a great story in John chapter 6. Please turn there. So I want to tell you a story first. So one day I was playing make-believe with my grandchildren, and my granddaughter says to me, they were playing make-believe, and she says, "What is your name and what is your superpower?" So there's always, and then in the game, in the make-believe, there's always some situation, some bad guy or whatever, that is going to require you to specifically use your superpower to address that impossible situation. And without your superpower, the impossible situation stays as an impossible situation. Well, that's exactly what happens in the story today in the Bible. It correlates perfectly with our world of faith. So yesterday we learned about Philip. So Philip was tested, but he forgot his superpower. And today, Andrew, same circumstances, is going to remember his superpower. So miracles start with problems. So don't be surprised that if you're looking for a miracle, it means you're in a pickle. So the story is that Philip gets the math right. He gets the idea that there's 5,000, more than 5,000 people. There's no money. There's certainly not enough money and nowhere to buy it. And it's Jesus says about him, he is being tested, that this was being done to test him. And quite honestly, he fails. So you may have a circumstance of health or money, relationships, work, lordship, personal behavioral habits that is being tested right now. Now, the problem is that should be the beginning of your faith, not the end of it. So Philip should have trusted the divine intervention before seeing the divine intervention. That's called faith. And he forgot his superpower. He forgot that he was standing with the Lord. So Philip fails. And listen to the story today, and it's going to change. So Philip should have said, "Oh, Lord, only you can do this. I don't know what to do. We don't know what to do, so we turn to you. We're desperate for you." Well, that's kind of what happens in the story today with Andrew. Here it is. This is from John chapter 6, verse 8. So one of the disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, Jesus, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they for so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, about 5,000 in number, plus the women and children, by the way. Verse 11, Jesus then took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated, so the fish as much as they wanted. And when they had eaten their fill, he told his disciples, "Gather up leftover fragments, that nothing may be lost." They had so much food, they're leaving it laying around. So they gathered up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves left by those who had been eaten. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they said, "This is indeed the prophet who has come into the world." Kind of the right response. 15. Perceiving then that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, Jesus withdrew again to the mountain by himself. There's a lot of Jesus' life left. Andrew gets the inclination to turn to the Lord and do this correctly. So like Philip, Andrew knows the math. Andrew knows that there's thousands of people, only 200 denarii, 200 days' wages, couple tens of thousands of dollars, and that is just not going to cut it to feed all these people. So Andrew is being tested like Philip, and guess what? You and I are also being tested as we hear and see this situation. So we're have to ask ourselves, who do I talk to in impossible situations? So Andrew does a good job of identifying the local resources. I got this kid with some food, but also, and here's what Philip forgot, the local Lord. So who do I turn to when the assessment of my local resources are short? Who do I turn to when I am at the end of my resources or monies or ability? So when there is a gap between my circumstances and the solution, who do I put in the middle of the gap? Do I put the Lord in the middle of the gap? So am I lifting up my eyes to see the Lord, who is lifting up his eyes to care for this situation? So Andrew is saying, "Hey, Lord, we've got the resources from this boy, and we've got you. We have the superpower. We have access to you. We have access to an attentive God. My superpower is not that I am a superpower, but I have access to a superpower. So I don't have the resources that adds up to a solution here. And my superpower is that I am with the super powerful Jesus. So my super powerful Jesus is here. He's already lifted his eyes up to see the situation. And my super powerful Jesus has all the superpower that there is. So I'm going to gather my resources. I'm going to do my part, use my resources, obey his commands, and then trust in the superpowers of the super powerful Jesus. I'm going to call to him. I'm going to call on him. So what is the power of Philip? Well, math. He does the equation correctly, but he forgets the Lord. And what's the power of Philip? So he has the right assessment of the situation. He gets the lay of the land, but he forgets the Lord of the land. Now, what is the superpower of Andrew? That he remembers the Lord of the land. And when the landscape math is bad, he says, my superpower is that I am with the super powerful Jesus. My super powerful Jesus is here. He's lifted his eyes and he cares and he has the power to help. So the right steps in conclusion today. Don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to be tested. So Philip is tested in the story yesterday and Andrew is being tested in the story here today. They're both in a difficult, impossible situations. Now, you may be too. It might be health, it might be money, it might be relationships, it might be work. Whatever it is, the point is, turn to him, lift up your eyes to see him lifting up his eyes to us in our situation. And let's put the Lord of all the situations into this particular situation. So beyond a math problem, this is a master problem. This is who is the master of this situation. So yes, let's get the math right. I'm not saying pie in the sky, but let's get the math right to start, but then let's get the master right. So my superpower is that I am with the super powerful Jesus. Thanks for listening.